Why do you feel like so many women feel dismissed by doctors when it comes to period pains, menopause, and fertility struggles?
We all should have a right to control our fertility, our reproduction.
What advice would you give to women that are having those heavy periods?
Reduce the amount of meat that you're eating. Just bite on a twig. You'll be all right.
Welcome to Make Sense with Melzy, where we make sense of the world we live in through real culture conversations. So, on today's episode, we're going to be exploring periods, pregnancies, to menopause, and absolutely everything in between. I don't know about y'all, but I've had periods all my life. Not all my life, but most of my life. And I still can't manage these hormones, okay? These hormones be up, down, roundabout. Sometimes I just feel like I'm cray-cray. Like, do you ever get that case when you're just coming on and you're just craving fizzy drink? You're craving chocolate in abundance. You're craving crisps. Like, my cravings are wild. Like, I'm scared to have a baby because I can't imagine what I'm going to be craving. On this episode, we're going to be exploring everything in terms of your womb health. So my guest today is a mentor. She is a birth worker, an advocate for over 30 years, supporting women with their womb health. She's here to break down the truth about womb health, contraception, birth, and why doulas make a difference. Please welcome my guest, the Birmingham doula, Lorna.
Thank you, Mel. What an introduction. So glad to be here, so excited. But I just have to say, before we start, a little disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Tell them here.
I'm here. Okay. Disclaimer is I am a layperson. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a nurse or a doctor or a consultant. I'm a birth and postpartum doula and a womb health practitioner. So what I say today is from that perspective and is not medical advice.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're like matchy.
Twins.
Where have you been? I'm super excited to have you here today because obviously I don't have any children yet. It's something that I am working towards. But I also understand the importance of kind of preparing your body for having a baby, making sure you're in good health, you're taking vitamins. So I'm kind of in that space of like preparing my body for birth. Now, hubby, I know you've not found me yet, okay? You've not found me yet, but I know I see you. Maybe I don't see you, but you see me. So hurry up, okay? I digress. So, of course, I had to get you here today because you're the big Birmingham doula.
The big Birmingham doula.
The big Birmingham doula. So tell me a little bit about like how you actually got into this industry.
Okay, so kind of cut a long story short. I've been working with children and families now in various kind of settings and guises for around about 40 years. You know, as I say, I know I don't
Girl, you look good, girl.
But it has been about 40 years. Started life as a nursery nurse back in the mid-80s. I trained at the College of Food in town, as it was the College of Food then, and worked in nurseries and family centres, and more recently worked in a Sure Start programme in King's Standing.
Amazing.
I was actually the deputy manager and the health coordinator. So I would coordinate all of the family health activities. And one of those activities was baby massage. So every week we'd have generally moms who come in with their little babies and I would teach them how to massage their babies. I was really struck by the conversations that those moms were having about their own birth experiences.
Okay.
Often tinged with kind of sadness and disappointment and trauma. And I heard about doulas back then. And I thought, oh yeah, whatever. I had my own 2 children at that stage, but I didn't realise how important birth was. So I dismissed the idea of being a doula. And then, of course, years later, it came back up again. And that seed was planted. And I thought, oh, I wonder if I could train to become a doula and help support parents on their journey to parenthood. And that was about 13 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
Wow. So for like the audience that don't actually know what a doula is, can you explain to us what is a doula?
Yeah. So a doula is generally a lay person, so somebody who's not trained as a nurse or a midwife. We learn about birth. We learn about the physiology of birth. We learn about how to support a couple or expectant parent through pregnancy, and also afterwards as well with their newborn babies.
Okay.
We're like that wise person in the village. So years ago we had doulas,
Okay.
but there would be that kind of village woman, right? So you'd have, say, kind of village setup. You'd have a woman in labour, and they're like, go send for the wise woman, go send for the bush nurse,
Okay.
who will come and who'll attend to you as you birth your baby and very quietly disappear. Okay, but also maybe come back and bring food for you, bring herbal remedies for you, and just make sure that you're well looked after.
Wow. So they still had nurses and people back in those days.
Well, they weren't really nurses. I'm talking about like village life way back when.
So let's talk about that quickly. So, obviously we're westernized. Yeah. Medication upon medication upon medication. Everything's isms, disms, schisms and rhythms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously back in those days, it was the village that gave birth to the child. We didn't have contraception.
Yeah.
We looked at the moon or the time or the day to know ovulation and different things. So what did that kind of village setup look like for people that don't even know?
Well, we say it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a village also to raise a mother and a parent.
Okay.
So it was that whole, the child belonged to the village. So you may have heard of tales back. And where are your parents from?
Jamaican.
Okay. So you got the kids playing in the yard, and anybody could discipline your child.
Yeah.
But also anybody could nurture your child, feed your child, take care, look out for them. It was that kind of vibe, and we've so lost that here in this society. If it ever was here in this society, it's gone now for sure. But it's that kind of collective community kind of care that's really important, and that really makes a difference when it comes to parenthood.
Okay. That is so interesting. And then for you as a Birmingham doula, like, what has been some of your best moments?
There's so many I can't even mention all of them, but some of the best, I think, being at your first birth is something that's quite scary. So, you've done the course, and the course is generally about 5 days or so in length. We cover things like, say, the body, we cover listening skills, how to advocate for your clients. But that's so different to actually being there on the job. So that was, I think for the first few, I was like a rabbit in the headlights, like, all right. So scary, but also exciting. And then others, possibly where we've had babies that have been born before the midwife has arrived. So at home births, for example, we've had babies that have come very, very quickly before the midwife has even had a chance to get there.
Wow.
But, every single birth I've attended and supported has been special in some way.
That's amazing.
And there's something I can take away, whether it be a comical thing or quite a serious, deep thing. There's always something I can take away from each birth.
I remember my sister, she had her first child, my first ever niece, a little beautiful little princess. And she was like, no one's at the birth. Mum's not going to be there. Just me and my man, me and my man, me and my man. I'm like, listen, I'm not missing out on seeing a child come out for JJ. I'm not missing that. I need to see what's really, really
the real deal.
The real deal, to see whether I can handle it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got to the hospital and, she's like, I can't remember whether her waters broke. They must have broken. But she was in labour for a couple of hours. She kept running over and over, but the baby wasn't ready to come yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they were thinking about giving her, it was epidural?
Yeah, it's a pain relief measure, yeah.
Pain relief measure.
Yeah.
But she'd gone so far with the pain, it was like, we didn't know whether you needed that. Because I heard sometimes if you take epidural, it can sometimes affect how you feel after you have the baby.
Yeah, it can do.
So anyway, I think the doctor came. The first doctor came, was like, we're going to have to give her epidural. We're going to have to induce her, something along those lines. And then another doctor came in. She just gave her a little feel. She's like, nope, I can feel the head. The head's coming.
Baby's coming.
I was like, babe, this is your time. This is your time. This is your time. This is your time. And then she started pushing. And it was like it was the most craziest experience I've ever witnessed in my life. And I was on the other end. I'm sure I even took a video, but I can't find it. But I definitely took a video. We all cried when that baby came out, and it was such a beautiful experience to kind of be in her presence.
It's very special.
It's so special, and I'm so close with my niece. I mean, she's got my kind of personality a little bit. She's like a little mini me, and to be able to be part of that journey and see my sister come out the other end. I mean, she's on baby number 4 now, but to see her come out the other end and now she's got my beautiful nieces and nephews is like, I'm so proud of you, because it's so much pressure on a woman's body when you go through pregnancy. And I feel like that's what people really, really fail to realise.
You're so right. We must never underestimate the kind of the toll on the body. And which is just a big job. We're literally growing a whole human being inside of us. And whether we birth the baby through our belly with a cesarean section or through our vagina, it's birth. And it's a big thing. It's a big process.
So every week on the show, we ask the guests to think of something that doesn't make sense to you, and then something that does make sense to you. It could be anything. Don't overthink it. I'll go first. So what does make sense to me is your girl got invited to the MOBO Awards.
Where was my invite? What, your +1?
I know. I was someone else's +1.
All right.
But don't worry. We'll be getting a table. I'm inviting everybody soon. So I went to the MOBO Awards. It was in Newcastle. It was absolutely amazing. I had the most amazing dress. My whole team came out for me. Like, I think I found out on the Friday, and I think the awards was on the Tuesday. So I had to call like my nail tech, I had to call my lash tech, I had to call my hairdresser.
My gosh.
And everybody just came through for me. And it made me realise that actually I can't look good at events or do a podcast without having a team. But because I build so many good relationships with people and we have this genuine love, care for us all to win, they will fit me in, they will squeeze me in. And I'm so grateful for those individuals, because I could have just been like, no, man, I'm not fitting you in. No, I've not got a slot. But absolutely everybody came through, and the whole event was just perfect from start to finish. I wasn't anxious. I didn't crash on the motorway because I was driving 4 hours to Newcastle. I was on time. It was just amazing. Like, I ended up partying with Spice, Cracked and Cone and Chipmunk.
Oh my gosh.
Well excited. It was amazing. So that definitely does make sense for me. What don't make sense? Okay, so what's starting to not make sense to me is being late and not being organised. Now, on one of my previous episodes, my friend Leanne cussed me out and was like, you're always late. You need to always be organised. Now, I am organised, but I am a little bit late. But 2025, we've got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been making a much more conscious effort to be organised, make quicker decisions, having faith that that decision will work. And I think through doing that, it's made my anxiety on zero. And I actually love it here.
That's good.
So it's like everything's just flowing nicely. So being late and not organised, that just don't make sense.
No, it doesn't,
No, it doesn't. What about you?
So, okay, something came to mind. You talk about the MOBOs, a big event. I mean, massive event.
Mm-hmm.
I've got an event coming up. Not quite as massive as the MOBOs.
It's still big.
But just, just slightly less massive.
It's still big.
But it's still huge. And I wouldn't say that I'm an event person, whether it's going or creating an event, though I have done some quite good events in the past. But I've had this idea for this event for well over a year.
Amazing.
But yeah, amazing. But then I'm like paralyzed with fear.
Lorna.
I know.
Lorna.
I know. I've got it on paper. I've kind of mapped it out on paper. I know what's what, and I love seamless things, and I've got it all there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been paralyzed all this time to actually kind of taking that step forward and actually creating the event.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But now, on the 12th of April, this event is going ahead. My big and bougie baby shower.
Tell them, Lorna.
12th of April. For any of you out there who are pregnant, that's the first thing, and live in Birmingham, Solihull or Sandwell, I've got an event called the Big and Bougie Baby Shower.
Yes.
You're going to come along, you're going to have some fun, we're going to play some games. We'll have a panel of midwives to answer your questions. So it's not just fun, it's also educational and informative. We have stalls.
Love this.
We will have Caribbean afternoon tea
Oh.
because we're big and bougie.
Yes.
And we'll have a DJ as well. So it's a daytime event. There will be tickets, but I will send you information later on. So you can.
Okay. Well, if you ever need a host.
Now, see, the thing is, my event organizer has kind of given me a host. If I'd have known about you earlier, you'd have been my. But for the next one,
we're here.
Your name is down.
Yeah. I love that. And what does make sense to you?
Okay, what makes sense to me is coming out in colour. Look, we're still in winter. Okay, we're wearing those, sort of the neutrals, the browns, the navies, the blacks. Okay, now I feel no way in coming out of my house in florals, in lilacs, in pastels, in winter. Let's brighten up ourselves and let's brighten up other people too.
Red colour, wow. Black colour, wow. Purple colour, wow. Yeah. I love that. Obviously, this episode is all about women's health and how we can be better at being healthy women.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like so many women feel dismissed by doctors when it comes to period pains, menopause and fertility struggles?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, there's a myth. Okay. The myth is that it's normal to have painful periods.
Okay.
Or it's normal to have very heavy periods when you're soaking through like your double pad with your tampon on your moon cup and everything else. It is not normal to be bleeding out in that way.
Okay.
It is not normal to have painful periods that are so painful that you've got to take time off work or take painkillers. Okay? You should expect a mild cramping. It is your uterus is cramping and contracting. The muscles of the uterus are contracting to expel the lining. So it should be a mild cramping. But if it's painful, for me, that's a red flag. And we need to keep going back to our doctors or change and seek a second opinion. Something's not quite right there. It may not be something that's like really serious, but you need to get it checked out. So it's because we're women, first of all.
Yeah.
Why we're dismissed. It's also because we're black and brown women. So it's another layer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're strong. You've got this.
Yeah, you've got this. You can
got
cope.
this, sis.
You can cope.
Strong black woman.
That's
you can
right.
go.
Just bite on a twig. You'll be all right. Right?
Yeah.
But we can't afford to be dismissed because, maybe one person in, 100 has got something wrong that's quite serious.
Right.
And let's catch those things early rather than letting them develop in our bodies and then we're, it's bad news.
Yeah, because I read the Sacred Woman, Queen Afua book, and I've been reading a lot of that at the moment. And I know she talks a lot about a lot of food and meat that you might eat beforehand. I mean, I've not tried it because I love a good steak, guys. I love a good chicken. I love a good lamb chops. Not gonna lie. And when I'm due on, that's what I want to eat. I want to eat comfort food.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to women that are having those heavy periods that almost think, oh, it's just normal because everybody's body's different? What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say, first of all, take a holistic view of yourself, okay? Look at your diet, as you mentioned, look at your lifestyle. So when we talk about diet, you may want to clean things up a little bit. So you may want to look at the quality of the food that you're eating. You may want to look at the quality of the chicken that you're eating.
So organic, Marks and Sparks?
Well, if you can. Now, the
If you
thing is,
can.
not everyone can. It's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
But if you kind of compare the cost of that good, organic meat compared to your KFCs and stuff, if you add up how much per month you spend on, takeaways and all that kind of the crap, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe you could afford possibly the organic, better quality meat. Reduce the amount of meat that you're eating. So
Right.
yeah, better quality, but less of it.
Okay.
So it is more affordable then.
Right.
And think about other alternatives. So things like dals, kind of lentils, split peas.
Like chickpeas.
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Getting some more
It's
vegetables.
great. Yeah, all that kind of plant-based food, a good source of protein. It's going to make, so you want to eat foods that make you poop, that make you go to the toilet. We get rid of our waste.
Okay.
Yeah, through our poo.
Yeah.
We get rid of excess hormones.
Okay.
Through our liver and our poop.
Right.
So you want to make a way. So you're those, dark green leafy veg, the kales. You want to be eating your cauliflowers, your broccoli, your split peas, your lentils. You want to be eating things like eggs if you can tolerate eggs. Your avocado.
Love an avocado.
You want to be drinking plenty of water, and kind of really reducing the tea and the coffee, the caffeine.
Okay.
And looking at how much kind of gluten. And if you're a pasta girl like me, you may want to think about cutting down or cutting out the pasta for a while and looking at, the breads and all that kind of stuff. Just really kind of lightening up your diet and making it better quality. We think a lot about the body and what we put in the body.
Okay.
We're not thinking about what you put on the body.
Interesting.
So we're not thinking about the kind of external stuff. So all the lotions and potions that we like to apply to our body are full of all kinds of toxins.
Oh my
right?
God.
Over time, those are going to build up in the body. So clean up our skincare routine as well. That includes like shower gels, your soaps, your period products. Yeah. Mel,
Lorna.
don't start me
Lorna.
off. Anything that you're washing your
clothes with.
No.
Washing your punani.
Your pun with, right?
Your puswali.
Your puswali. The tissue's down there. It's like a sponge, right? It will soak up things quite easily. So make sure that whatever, I'm not saying don't wash.
No, ladies.
Listen.
Ladies. I need y'all to wash. I've been hearing from guys that girls ain't washing
That's
down
what I'm
there,
hearing as well.
Like they're looking good from the outside, Lorna, but with the two trousers come off and it smell like Bullring Market, Fish Market. No, Sally. Your pum nothing smells so. Too much soap you use down there.
Yeah. So it shouldn't smell of roses. So
No.
please don't think that you have to be spraying and washing and douching and all that kind of stuff with stuff that smells like roses and peaches, right?
It should smell like pum.
Yeah, exactly.
Good pum.
Exactly. So keep it clean. And if if you're a water girl, then but keep it clean. But don't use all those really harsh kind of products down there to upset your balance, your pH balance and stuff, because you're bringing on then all kinds of issues for yourself.
Yeah.
But remember that, try and keep it, strip back your skincare routine a little bit.
So like shea butter.
Yeah. So
coconut.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
So I actually make my own, not for anybody else, and I ain't making it for you. I make it for myself. But you can very easily make like a body butter with some natural shea, unrefined shea, coconut oil. You could put in some jojoba oil. Okay. You just melt it, put it in a heat-proof bowl over a pan of hot water. Yeah, melt it up. You can then add in, if you want to, a couple of drops of aromatherapy oil if you want to.
Lovely.
Then as it starts to kind of get harder, whip it with a whisk.
Right.
Pop it in a glass jar.
Love that.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not full of all that rubbish. Yeah. Also, you want to think about even what you're cleaning your house or your flat with.
Lorna, you're killing me today.
Don't start me off. If you're using those spray around the bath, think about how you're inhaling all of that.
What about bleach?
You can use bleach. You're not. As long as I'm sitting there sniffing it.
Okay.
Right. So you can use a bit of bleach if you want. I'm not saying don't clean your yard, but just remember that anything you're spraying, you're gonna inhale it. Okay, and it's going into your system. And once or twice, it ain't gonna cause too much, but daily. Think of all that. Think about the plastics, right? Think about, you're going to work, you're going to take your oxtail and your rice and peas and your plantain, from the weekend into the office on Monday in that plastic takeaway tub. You're going to throw it in the works microwave. Yeah? All those nasty chemicals that are in that plastic are going to leach into your food with that heat. You want to be using glass contained, and they're heavier, I know, but glass contained as far as you can.
Wow.
Okay? Sanitary products. We're all into these super duper pads now, right? Well, I'm not, because I've finished bleeding. But
Lucky for some.
back in the day was I won't name the product, but the ultra
Thick.
yeah, and
right.
and the dry rooftop sheet with the whatever chemical it is to kind of draw the blood in and to keep the. You got to think what's in that. Yeah, your vulva is sat on those pads, right, for how many days out of the month? And whatever toxins and chemicals and bleached fibers are in that pad, you're absorbing over time into your body. So go a bit more natural with your sanitary towels. So cloth, if you can bear to wash them.
A cloth.
Cloth.
A cloth.
Cloth pads. Washable cloth pads. You've not seen those?
No.
Oh, where have
I've
you
seen
been?
the flushable ones.
No, these are ones that you buy a set of them, okay? And they have things like bamboo cotton. They'll have a backing that's waterproof but not overly kind of toxic and plastic. And you'll wash them each time you use it. You wash them, right?
Okay.
Or use a menstrual cup.
So that's the cupping cup.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, man. I'm scared of that.
So
because I'm clumsy. I'll be running, the cup will go everywhere, and then people will think I've been stabbed.
Okay, not going to lie, the first few times you use it is a little bit awkward. It takes practice, okay? But you'll know when it's in place properly and it's not going to come dislodged. Listen, when you kind of fold it up on itself,
right,
and then you squat, or put a leg up on the bath and insert it in,
right,
you'll hear or feel a kind of a vacuum,
right,
and it's sealed. It's up there.
Okay,
It ain't moving, but you can tell if it's not in the right place or not quite.
Because it'll feel uncomfortable.
Because it'll feel really uncomfortable, and it feels like you've got a brick up there.
So how do you know it's full? You just got to change it regularly?
You just change it regularly throughout the day.
Whoa, I don't know about that one.
Yeah?
Lorna. I don't know. Because I'm out and about.
So what you do is you take a little small bottle of water in your handbag. Okay. You go into the public toilet.
Right.
You use a little stick, a little stem on the end.
Right.
So you hold it and you kind of unseal it.
Yeah.
You tip it out into the toilet.
Right.
Use that bottle of water just to rinse it.
Right.
Into the toilet.
Right.
Back up it goes. You come out the toilet, you wash your hands, and you're off.
Interesting.
Or if you can't face that, go for a more natural kind of disposable pad. One that hasn't got the bleached fibers.
Right.
There's a number of products out there and brands that are kind of more natural and less toxic to you. So you've got options.
We've got options, ladies, but I get it because everything you just told me, I'm like, the health eating cool, drinking water cool, already there, toxins cool. So yeah, I suppose it's little things to think about in order to draw back, because we are pumped with loads of toxins. I do a lot of sauna and steam,
nice,
like 3 or 4 times a week, and I think that's why my skin's glowing a
It
little
is.
bit more, and I'm not feeling as premenstrual. I feel like my hormones are more regulating a little bit more, so I'm starting to notice that difference, and I think that steam and sauna helps me to get rid of those toxins quite quickly. Do you get what I mean?
Nice. But Mel, I've got to say as well,
Go on.
we talk a lot about the physical,
But it's all about inside mental
here. So when it comes to things like, just general health or womb health, what's going on up here? Are we addressing stuff that's going on up here? Are we addressing any kind of traumas we've had, in our life? What are we doing with that?
Does that affect your hormones then?
Yeah,
would you
it
say?
affects everything. Every aspect of your health. That's stress. We then make stress hormones that kind of go around the body, It affects everything. So whether it's therapy, whether it's having a good friend that you can kind of talk to, whether it's incorporating stuff into your life like activities or meditation that will lower your stress levels, it's important that we do that.
Wow, because I feel like a lot of women are stressed, so much pressure, family, kids, husband, parents, do you know what I mean? There's a lot of pressure on women being the nurturers.
There is. It's a lot, this, and back in, my day, as I call it, we didn't have so many stresses.
Really?
We did a bit.
Do you feel like we're more stressed now?
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
No, man.
I'm
no.
sorry, but Melzy, yes.
No.
We didn't have social media.
True.
That says you got to look this way, you got to act this way, you got to have it all, you got to do it all, right? We didn't have that. We relied upon kind of our instincts,
what we saw
family,
in the mirror,
all that kind of stuff, right?
Interesting.
But now it's like you got to do this. You got to get the career. You got to get the partner or the husband. You've got to get the car. You've got to have the 2.5 kids. You've got to have the hair, the face, the figure, the holidays, the apartment. It's so much pressure, too much pressure.
So it is that thing of trusting more in your own instincts, having faith and hope in your situation.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like social media does put pressure. Like,
keep it simple. Keep life as simple as we can. We overcomplicate things with all this stuff. And a lot of it is lies. Yeah, what you see on social media.
Lie. I lie them at all. I'm a liar.
It's lies.
Yeah.
Because some of the people that I've seen on Instagram and who have come to me for various services, I'm like,
your life looked way better on the gram than what you're telling me now.
It's lies.
I work with a lot of young women at the moment, and there's so much pressure to be like, oh, I need to be slimmer, I need to go to the gym. Every girl's taking a Ozempic.
And you got to have the bum, and you got to have the boob, you got to have the snatch waist, you got to,
and it's like,
oh my goodness.
You really do need to feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Because actually there's love out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
Absolutely everybody. I don't
a
care
lid
what
for
you
every
look
pot.
Like. There's a lid for every pot. Me like that one day, Lorna.
It is.
There's a lid for every pot. Sometimes one lid can go over 2 pots.
Yeah, you have to catch it sometimes, isn't it? Catch the lid. But, there's a lid for you.
Yeah, and I think there's such a misconception that women have to be this certain way. And it's causing us more stress than we actually need it.
It is. If you compare that to guys, I mean, listen, my husband could go out in the same outfit for like a week and nobody would bat their eyes. You watch, if I wear this pair of pants now every day, people would be chatting me. Yeah, look at
And then we become part of that.
And it makes us overconsume. I'm not talking about food here. Buying stuff, right? Oh, they've seen me in that dress. I've got to buy a new dress for this event. I've got to. It keeps us. I mean, it's on purpose. This is intentional. Yeah. Society kind of wanted us to kind of feed into this consumerism.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get sucked in.
You do.
You really, really do.
I hire them now. I'm going to a big event. I hire my dress.
We might try that one.
I mean, it costs. It's not cheap. You go, but it looks great.
But if I'm only going to wear it once, why not? Give it a little dry clean.
Yeah.
Nobody have to know.
Exactly.
So someone
you
dress.
wear it.
Yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
Interesting. So I know we spoke a little bit about keeping the body healthy, period.
And the mind.
And the mind, body, soul. How do you feel about contraception and how that affects women having babies, going into menopause? What's your kind of opinion on that?
My personal opinion is that we all should have a right to control our fertility, our reproduction. And, I have people that come to me because their periods are a little bit sketchy, or, they're kind of, 1 month on and 3 months off with their periods, and they've been on contraception, and then they're off it and they still can't get back on their cycle. So I will say personally, I think it does mess up your cycle somewhat.
Because it's kind of hormones being pumped.
It's hormones.
It's extra hormones.
It's synthetic hormones, right? Not made by the body. So I get why you might want to take contraception, and I get why some people don't want to rely on condoms as well. I mean,
it feels good. Sorry, guys.
I'm an older lady, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, so you may not want to use condoms, or you struggle to use them correctly. There's no point,
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Yeah,
we know. So yeah, it can be, it's tricky. And then there's things like what we used to call way back when the rhythm method, charting your cycle.
Yes, I chart my cycle.
You chart your cycle?
Yeah, I use the Flow app.
Okay.
Flow app, you should be sponsoring me for this, just saying. But I actually use the Flow app and it fully works. Like my period comes on, bang on, every time that they say it's going to come on. Unless it's a longer month or a shorter month, that's when it might change. Then my ovulation's pretty on point.
Excellent.
Because is it true you can only get pregnant when you're ovulating?
Well, yes, so the egg has to be released.
The egg has to be released,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So out of that kind of window, it's almost impossible, right?
Keep it safe. Don't just think, oh, well, this is my ovulation day, so the day before I'm cool.
You're not cool.
You're not cool.
Because I've always been aware of that. I've always been careful I'm careful anyway. Protection's a must anyway. Because, certain semens might not mix with your
absolutely
punani, essentially.
Yeah.
But I do think kind of knowing when you're ovulating is really, really important.
It's important to know about your body,
yeah,
how your body works, and be in tune with your body. So yeah, the charting method for contraception is not for everybody, because if there is a slip up, there's a potential baby there. So, I would say if you're concerned about your health, whether physically, mentally, your hormones, then use the less kind of hormonal kind of
contraception
method. Yeah.
Would that be coil?
So it depends though. You could have a coil with hormones on
or coil without.
You can have a copper coil that has no hormones on it.
I had that last time. Yeah, that worked really well for me.
It can suit some people.
Yeah,
for
but
some it can make you bleed heavier.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Sometimes though, there's a small chance of getting pregnant on either of the coils.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have seen a picture, I don't know if it's real or a kind of mock-up of a baby being born. It's a kind of a birth scene, baby born holding the coil.
I think I saw that.
But you can get pregnant on the coil.
Yes, you can. It's
tiny,
it's possible.
But
then again, if you're still monitoring your ovulation...
True, why don't do both?
And you're doing both...
Yeah, true.
Then it's that extra layer of, I'm protected.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think contraception affects the menopause or slows it down or brings it on?
I don't know about that. I'm trying to think for myself. So I guess I'm now either menopausal or postmenopausal, one of the two. So I've kind of passed through part of the journey. But then I wasn't on contraception before menopause. Was I? Or was I? Typically I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Lorna. I can't remember.
Okay, Lorna. Hubby.
So whether it affects menopause, I don't know. What I will say is for those of us who are perimenopause, so about the time of menopause or straight on menopausal, it can have great issues for us. I mean, the hot sweats, the mood swings, the hair drying, the hair falling, thinning out, the skin changing, dryness,
pom dry, like
not just your pom, your eyes as well.
Really?
Yeah, really dry eyes.
Because we don't talk about menopause. I don't see women talking about menopause maybe as much as we should be, and I feel like the generation before us didn't really talk about it.
Oh, they didn't. It was
like a taboo topic.
Yeah. The change. Oh, the change.
Yeah. I'll go for the change. And I feel like it's such an important conversation to have because we're all going to get there at some point. Is there anything you can do to prepare for menopause?
So you can learn about the changes in your body. You can, again, it's about taking that holistic view of yourself with your health. So again, it's dietary. So making sure that you're eating well. It's not a time to be like dieting strictly. It's a time to eat well, to eat your healthy fats. So if you join these slimming clubs, I won't say which ones, they'll be like, no fat, no fat.
No carbs.
Yeah, no carbs, no fat. And eating like, low fat products. You need to be eating your healthy fats. So again, your avocados, your eggs, your kind of olive oil sprinkled on foods not cooked with. So make sure you have a decent amount of healthy fat. And your protein. So a protein-rich diet. And you need to be exercising.
and do that, yeah.
And it's not just a general. So yes, walking is a great thing for sure for all kinds of health benefits. But I'm meaning that kind of weight bearing exercise that gets the muscles
going.
nice and strong.
And for people that don't understand what menopause is like, can you explain what that changes are happening in the body during that period of time?
Yeah, it's a time when your estrogen can really, does dip. Also, progesterone can really dip. Those are kind of two main hormones.
Yeah.
There is possibly some evidence around also testosterone. Though if you go to your GP and ask for like HRT to boost your hormones, they probably won't be giving you any testosterone. That generally is given more in private menopause clinics. And there's a lot of controversy around that. But we'll leave that to one side. So it's those hormones that are dipping that would keep your skin really kind of bouncy and fleshed out. Keep things kind of juicy and juiced up. Help with your kind of mood. Help with your metabolism. So in menopause, with that drop in progesterone, you're more prone to weight gain, or actually prone to struggling to lose weight.
Right.
That metabolism kind of slows right down.
Right.
And we tend to then put on some fat around the middle section.
Okay. So obviously, I know a lot of women are being diagnosed with PCOS, fibroids, and endometriosis. Did I say it right?
Endometriosis.
Why do you think this is kind of happening at the moment?
I think again it's the diet. I think a lot is dietary. I think for us as Black women with our fibroids, we've got to be looking at the hair stuff as well.
Really?
Because those relaxers, those curly perms. I know we don't do that so much nowadays. But we're wondering if there's a link between all of those kind of toxic hair products and hair processes that may be contributing towards the increase in fibroids, especially with Black women. I don't know if there's been a causal link yet, kind of found, but there are lots of questions being asked and some research being done.
That's really interesting. And for people that don't know what fibroids is, can you explain that a little bit for us?
So you can have, again, medically probably not, but they are generally kind of cysts, I guess, that can be anywhere in the womb, but also outside the womb as well. They can cause issues. If you have a fibroid and, you get pregnant, they can, depending on where that fibroid is, cause some issues, for birth. I mean, if that fibroid is towards the kind of the bottom end of the uterus, for example, internally, then there's some kind of risks that are going on for birth. So you've got babies born generally vaginally, after a while the cord is clamped and cut. Now, if you've got like a quite large fibroid at the kind of entrance of the womb, it can kind of press on that cord, and it can actually cause the cord to what we call prolapse, come outside the vagina before the baby, and that can be really, really dangerous. Yeah, that's baby's oxygen supply. So if it gets squeezed in any way, we're cutting off the oxygen to baby. So for sure, it's not saying that you can't have a baby with fibroids, but you need to make sure that your team, your medical team, know what they're doing and know how to advise you best.
Interesting. Now, as the Birmingham doula, why do you think women need support throughout that whole process of pregnancy? Because I think some of y'all men don't understand the stress that a woman goes under when she is pregnant. It's a lot on the body, the mind, the soul. So as a Birmingham doula, what do you do to support women throughout that process from start, middle to end and after?
Yeah, I mean, pregnancy and birth and parenthood, these are life's major kind of life transitions, life events, right?
A whole 9 months.
Yeah, and yet people kind of, some people kind of pay more attention and spend more time on things like a holiday or the christening or the baby shower or the gender reveal, okay? And then this whole kind of preparing mind, body, soul, spirit, this massive journey gets kind of pushed to one side. So yeah, it is important to feel supported for sure, and to feel prepared for what's coming and feel confident about what's coming. And you can do that with a doula. You don't have to have a doula at all. But it just helps. It helps. It really does help. And it's somebody that's not within the medical system. It's somebody that is there to support you and is there solely for you and your partner, or you by yourself. Okay, so we're not employed by the NHS. We are separate and we are all about you.
Right.
So, for example, if you've got your doula now, so if you have a question, or you're feeling a bit upset about something, and we're now out of office hours, so we can't speak to a midwife about it, get on the phone to your doula and say, you know what, this has happened. I'm feeling really upset. Can we talk about it? Or I want to tell you this. Okay, we can't give medical advice, but we are there to deeply, deeply listen, and maybe signpost. Say, well, no, why don't you try so and so? Why don't you go so and so? That's what's helped other parents that I've helped in the past. So,
because I think some women probably feel a little bit pressurized to, like, I've got this. God's made me a woman. I can do this by myself. Like, sometimes the midwives can fob you off a little. Oh, you over worrying?
Yeah, and they're busy.
And they're busy.
Yeah, the
They've got
system's
loads-
really, the
Yeah.
system's broken.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, and people are busy. And to have that, we call it continuity of care, is that one special person who's going to support you all the way through this journey and the birth, and possibly postnatal too. People don't know about postnatal doulas so much. How wonderful, and what a benefit. In fact, research has shown the benefits of having a doula support you. Less C-sections, certainly less postnatal depression, better breastfeeding rates, okay, less instruments used at birth. And that's research telling you about the benefits of having a doula support you.
Wow. And can you just talk about postnatal depression? Because again, I feel like it's still a little bit of a taboo subject. You're just supposed to have the baby and be happy with the baby.
I know.
Just be happy the baby came out and you're safe.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think we are prioritizing women's mental health.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we go through a lot. So, physically, mentally, we're a different person. We go into labour and birth one person. And once we've got our baby safely in our arms, we are a different person. And we're now leading a very different life. So, of course, we're happy that we've got this baby. And I hope we're happy we've got this baby. But we can also grieve for our old life. Yeah? The old life that would kind of say, on a Friday night, your friends call you up and say, "You coming out? You coming out?"
I'm going to be grieving my old life when this happens, guys. I'll be like, all right, B.
And you're like, no. Yeah? And your friends are going to call you 2 more times. And when they keep hearing no,
They're not going to call
they're
again.
going to move on. So you're no longer going to get those calls, right? So that's your old life. The kind of think, I want to pop to the shop and get some milk. Unless you've got somebody at home to have that baby for you, there's no more popping out. Okay? So when you pop out, you've got the baby.
You've got the
You've
carry
got
bag.
the pram.
Nappies.
You've got the nappy bag. You've got the milk. You've got the whatever. All right? So there's no more popping out for quite a while. It's a different life. So you grieve and you think, not that you want to go back and say, I don't want this baby generally. It's like, but I wouldn't mind some of that life back. So yes, that takes a toll on us mentally. We've got the hormones going up and down still. We've got our old life. We've got this new life. We've got this baby who is 100% dependent upon us for everything.
That's scary.
And it's hard. Those feeds, that feeding, right? Every couple of hours possibly, or even every 1.5 hours and a little bit of a sip at half hourly.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Imagine a whole baby attached to my titty.
There's no bedtime anymore. You think about, bedtime. Yes, okay, so you're going to get some sleep here and there. But there's no where it's baby's bedtime, because babies don't have bedtime.
Oh my gosh.
Okay?
It sounds so scary.
But, it's about support. And what a lot of people don't consider is planning for that postpartum phase. Those early weeks. When I say planning, it's around gathering your people, gathering your village. Okay? I talk a lot about this in our Black Mamas Birth Village. Gathering your village. Who is it in your village? Yeah, who are the friends and the family? Who are the support people? Whether it be your kind of perinatal mental health team, whether it be the midwife, your health visitor, who is it that's there for you? And when we talk about family and friends being supportive, do not make any assumptions. I'm always told, I haven't got to make a plan, Lorna. Auntie Marcia, she lives around the corner.
Marcia ain't coming to check for
Marcia
you.
ain't going to fart on you.
She ain't coming to... Marcia go out and go do her thing. She a go bingo, Caribbean bingo, and I watched, Strictly Come Dancing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not being mean, but,
It's being real.
It's being real. So when you identify your village members, now we have to pin their behinds down and say,
I need you here for 3 days.
Auntie Marcia,
Yeah.
I know you work full time, but I know you can throw down in the kitchen, Auntie Marcia. Maybe you can't come in and see me, but I want you to cook that pot of soup.
Bring it come. With a cup of spoon and a little Guinness punch with no Guinness in it.
Can have your Guinness. Right?
Yeah.
And get that all portioned off into your freezer. Because no one has time to stand at their cooker or their energy when they've had a newborn baby. And we need those foods to nourish us and build us back up after having a baby. Okay? So who is it in your life that can cook? Who is it in your life that can come round and bring their non-judgmental selves? Right? This is what people say to me. Why do people have postnatal doulas when they've got their mum around the corner? And I say,
Mum's always there.
You can have both, but your postnatal doula is a bit like your mom, but without the politics. Okay?
Right.
We are not going to say, in my day,
we never did this.
Yeah. And birthday.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any of that.
No.
We're not leading from the front.
Yeah.
We're by your side, and we're your confidant. We can demonstrate, bathing. We can help with feeding, whether you're breast or formula feeding. We can just be company. We can look out for. Okay, we cannot diagnose postnatal depression, but we can look out for signs of dipping and not coming back up. And then we can help signpost you
to the right direction,
to the right support, because we cannot, we're not therapists.
I hear that.
Yeah?
And do you feel like it's better to have kids when you're younger or when you're older? Because I know a lot of women now are having kids way in their 40s. What's your opinion on that, Miss Doula?
I think it is personal choice, first of all.
Okay.
And I see pros and cons of both. So I had my first baby at 21 and I felt ready. Okay. So I guess, the body is younger. I had very straightforward births with both of my kids, to be honest. So, I think, being younger physically might have helped. But on the kind of the cons side is that, are you mentally ready?
Right.
Are you stable? Whether it be financially or in your home or with a relationship. Okay? Because it helps. All right? Not that we can't do it alone, I did. But it helps to have that kind of backup and a partnership.
With someone.
Okay? To bring up this baby. When you're older, you may feel more confident. You may have more patience. I wasn't a very patient young mum in some respects. It was like, I'm working, I'm studying uni full-time and working and raising kids solo. Okay, it's a lot. But hopefully by the time you are a little bit more advanced in years, maybe you are a little bit more patient. A bit more stable. You've got a career going on. Yeah. But it really is, it's really personal choice.
Because I did see this woman online that was talking about, us mothers have really scared all of the women not to have babies. And you need to understand, motherhood is not the hard part. It's actually having the right partner to support you through that process.
I mean, what is the right partner? I mean, for me, it's about somebody who's going to be hands-on.
Yeah.
Who's going to be by your side. Who possibly shares similar values to
morals,
you. Because you've got lots of dilemmas when you're having your baby around, vaccinations, around education, around discipline, around boundaries, about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you haven't got to be the same as each other, but it helps to know where they're at and where you're at and how you're going to possibly compromise.
Very interesting. Lorna, this has just been... We
haven't
I
finished.
know. I need you for like another hour. We're going to have to get you in for a part two.
Can we have part 2? Because I'm nowhere near finished,
I
Mel.
know you're not. I know. We need to get you in for a part 2. But before we get you in for a part 2, tell us where people can find you, what services you provide, what you bring to the table as a Birmingham doula, and the camera's right there. Let them know, Lorna.
Okay, so Birmingham Doula, you can find me on Instagram at Birmingham Doula. I don't post very often. I'm working. I don't have time. But, you can give me a follow and I'll follow you back, possibly. You can find me at Black Mama's Birth Village because we have a Facebook for Black and mixed race moms who are pregnant. For my event, Big and Bougie Baby Shower.
Big and bougie.
Big and Bougie. Babes_in_the_wood CIC on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolutely amazing chat.
I've loved it.
I've got one last question. Are you going to be my Birmingham doula and have a baby?
Can you give birth in Jamaica? And I'll say yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
I will so give birth in Jamaica. Yeah, man.
Okay, then.
Yeah, man.
I'm there.
Now I've got my Birmingham doula sorted out. Just need hubby to hurry up and give me my ring, love. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Make Sense with Melzy. That's it from me. Peace and love to all of my ladies. Bye.